Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Gimenez, Ecelda, and I'm going to tackle about global migration. So, global migration is also called international migration. This type of migration occurs when people cross state boundaries and stay in a host state for a certain amount of time. So, with the latter, the movement is not of the person's own will, where people may be forced to migrate from conflict or natural disaster. So, those are also some of the reasons why people migrated to another country. So, this freedom of movement is a protected human right. So, dili rata mabalaka kay we are protected by human rights. So, migration, movement of people across a specified boundary to establish a new permanent or semi-permanent residence. Next, there are different types of migration. The first one is labor migration. Movement of individuals from one country to another for work or in response to recruitment drives. From the word labor, it is related to work. So, although migration always involves the movement of a person from one place to another, there can be many reasons for this movement in many different ways it can occur. This gives rise to different types of migration. So, there are also three characteristics of labor migration. The first one is high-skilled labor migration. It is a type of migration most demanded by host countries looking at attract highly skilled workers. So, this type of migration most demanded by host countries looking to attract highly skilled workers. In most cases, countries seek highly skilled workers in certain occupations when there is a shortage. This type of migration is not as common. Dili ni siya common. So, next is temporary migration. People migrate for the specific purpose of working. So, from the word temporary, meaning temporarily, they will only temporarily live in that specific country. The third one is forced migration. Ang forced migration may occur when people are forced to flee their home country due to conflict or political repression. Meaning, kanisya, forced migration can also happen due to natural disasters, limited food production, and water insecurity, often exacerbated by climate change. So, human trafficking is also characterized by forced migration. Next, the second type of migration is the international retirement migration. So, retired people may have the financial power to put properties abroad, which be either a first or a second home. So, these people put a lot of pressure on urbanization and the mass construction of housing, significantly in coastal and rural areas. This type of migration can also include people leaving their job and moving to a rural location in another country. These people may work or set up a business. So, muna siyang mga tao nga nang retire na but they decided to migrate in another country para mag-build a business kay mas dako man ang ma-earn nga ang ma-earn dito. So, internal migration. Separately to international and global migration. This type of migration involves a person moving from one area to another within the same country. No international borders are crossed. So, meaning, international migration is within the country ra na siya transfer. Like, for example, if they are living in north of England, so, ato ra sila pwede mo transfer sa south of England. Ano siya, internal migration. So, migrants. So, from the word migrants, it is obviously referring to a person. So, it is a person who is moving from one place to another. Someone will be considered a migrant regardless of a person's legal status because of migration, voluntary or involuntarily, or how long they intend to stay. So, there are three different types of migrants. The first one is asylum seeker. This is a person who is applying for asylum. Usually, asylum seekers have had to flee their home countries and cannot return due to fear of persecution or even death. An asylum seeker searches for international protection. However, the claim for refugee status has not yet and may not all been granted. So, the second one is refugee. A refugee describes someone who is leaving a country or fleeing due to things like conflict or natural disaster or other forms of persecution. Legally speaking, a refugee is an asylum seeker whose claim for asylum has been successful, meaning they are granted refugee status in a new country to live there permanently. So, the third one is economic migrant. It is a person who has voluntarily left their country of origin to seek by legal or illegal means employment in another country. Next. Question, why do people migrated? So, international migration can have so-called push and pull factors. Push factors are based upon the country of origin. These are factors which may cause the migrants to have the desire to move. Nadjud sila desire nga move into another country. Ang pull factors are based upon the intended destination of the migrant, or these factors that attract people to a new place. Ni-move sila because they are attracted to a new place. So, we have here an examples for push factors. Hinungdan nga nung move sila or migrate sila is because of wars, conflict, political instability, and economic crisis. And also poverty, unemployment, low wages, and poor working condition. Main reason yun nga nung mo migrate ang sa katao is because sa low wages. Gamay ra kayo ang sweldo diri sa Philippines. That's why they are trying to find country nga mas dako-dako ang sweldo. All factors, varied employment opportunities and higher wages, better healthcare and access to education services. So ang sa pull factors naman kay kuan kanang nganong ni-migrate sila is because na-attract sila sa place and also there are many opportunities ngadto nga mga trabaho ug dako pod ang sweldo. Napoy sakto nga healthcare and access to education. Next, global migration pattern. So people migrate all the time, willingly or unwillingly, and different migration patterns can be seen throughout the decades. So, global migration issues and effects. Global or international migration has demographic, health, social, economic, political, and even environmental implications. So, there are different implications of global migration. So, the first one is demographic implications. It can influence the underlying growth, living standards, savings rates, consumption, and investment. So, in the origin country, populations of childbearing age will leave, causing birth rates to drop. Younger workers tend to migrate, leaving behind an older generation, resulting in an unbalanced and aging population in origin country. Comparatively, in the host country, the youthful working population will boom, birth rates may increase, and general population numbers will rise. So in some cases, male migrants may dominate, creating a further gender imbalance in both origin and host countries. The second one is health and social implications. So demographic and population change can relieve pressure on healthcare and education systems if population rates reduce in an origin country. So more significantly, however, there may also be a loss of qualified workers, like for example, mga doctors, nurses, and teachers due to increased wages and better prospects elsewhere, which can impact the economy and development levels. In the host country, pressure on schools, specifically primary schools and healthcare services, maternal and infant may increase, the population rises. Ethnic and racial tension may also increase alongside segregation issues. So some migrants, particularly asylum seekers and refugees, are vulnerable to human trafficking. The movement of people away from an origin country can cause a breakup of communities, family units, and even a loss of traditional culture. On the other hand, cultural diversity will increase in the host country with the introduction of new foods. The third one is economic implications, the eventual effects or results that those events have on the company. Current events are things that are happening in the present that are important. So meaning with the reduced workforce and the loss of the most educated and skilled workers members, development is hindered. Migrants often send money back to their origin country in the form of remittances. This is often not enough to support the economic decline from migration, which may cause dependency. In some cases, migrants can develop new skills to be able to bring back to their origin country. Yes, economic implication na adyo tayo mga skills nga madala sa atong country if ever mo migrate sa laing country. So the fourth one is political implications. Pressure may increase policies to be initiated to redevelop areas which are declining. So in the origin country, pressure may increase for policies to be initiated to redevelop areas which are declining. Other policies may also be introduced, such as pronatal policies or even incentives to help retain skilled workers. Some governments of countries with high populations may encourage migration for socio-economic advantages or as an anti-natal strategy. So in the host country, however, more issues could occur. With negative view toward migration, pressure for migration control may rise, as well as anti-migration political parties and right-wing organizations. With more nationalistic views, migration can often clash. In some places, closed-door migration policies exist, which can hinder movement. So the last one is environmental implications. Abandonment can occur, farmland, buildings, and whole villages can be left behind. So, meaning, while environmental management also decreases, in the host country there may be increased pressure on land for development and infrastructure, such as roads or housing. Resource pressure will also increase as the demand for energy, water, and food rises. So, Global Compact for Migration. Social infrastructures of the host country can often be overwhelmed, or dangerous migration journeys can increase the likelihood of migrants' death. So approximately 258 million people around the world are migrants. This number is expected to grow as the population increases, trade improves, and inequality rises. While migration can be extremely beneficial, poorly regulated migration can pose significant challenges. Next is global migration crisis. Intense difficulty, trouble, or dangerous situation in the receiving state due to the movements of large groups of immigrants escaping from the conditions. So according to the UN Refugees Agency, at the end of 2020, 82.4 million people worldwide have been forcibly displaced as a result of persecution, conflict, violence, human rights violations, climate, or events seriously disturbing public order. So Global Approach to Migration and Mobility, or GAMM or GAM, was, take note of this, was published in December 2005, which aimed to present a comprehensive plan to confront the problem of human trafficking and to solve the crises that arise. So ang GAMM, they follows four priorities. The first one, managing, organizing, and assisting the movement of legal migrants. Second one, prevent dangerous migration, like for example, human trafficking. Third is maximizing the development impact of migration and mobility. Fourth, promoting international protection and enhancing the external. So that would be all for my report. Thank you for listening. God bless you all.